You guys have to disassemble.
I'm not. We're not. We're practicing our freedom of religion. They can't come against our religion.
Well, we'll come back then. Give you another ticket.
I don't care. That's fine. I'm not paying it. You can tell your supervisor that too.
David Menzies for Rebel News here in Cornwall, Ontario. Well, folks, one of the unfortunate side effects of the Wuhan virus is a uptick in by law enforcement and outright law enforcement infringing upon the rights of citizens who, well, they're not really doing anything all that wrong. One of the big flashpoints, of course, was the Nelson family of Oakville, Ontario, who on Good Friday went for a session of inline skating in an empty community center parking lot. They're all related. They're all live under one roof. The congregation was under 5. There was 4 of them. And yet they were given an $880 ticket by Oakville by law enforcement. Outrageous. Well, since we launched our website, fightthefines.com, in which we were looking for others who have been dealt very harshly, many tips have come in, including that of a preacher, Andre Rose, who lives and preaches out of his townhouse here in Cornwall, Ontario. What happened to him, folks, was on the first eve of Passover earlier this month, a neighbor, presumably, had phoned the police and said, get over to this address because there are more than 5 people there. In any event, the police came. They walked up this pathway. The window was open. They looked in. And the next thing Mr. Rose knew is that he was being handed an $880 ticket.
So you guys know the Canadian Charter, right? We have the right to peaceful assembly, and municipalities
During a regular
they
time,
can't.
yes, but this is a state of emergency that we're under.
Now, a lot of people would be saying, well, don't you know the new rules during this period of the Wuhan virus? You're not supposed to have a congregation here more than 5.
Well, frankly, this is my home, and we're celebrating Passover weekend, and so I think it's malicious what they're doing right now, and I strongly feel like, this is a hit for not just people that are that do have the coronavirus, but for those that don't. It's causing a lot of problems in society, and again, we were just having a setter night, and so we were 5 adults in total. The police came and told us that we had to disassemble, and I said, no, I'm not disassembling, and they gave us a ticket. And Justin Trudeau traveled interprovincially, and he was 5, and his family, and I don't think they were practicing the social distancing either. So even the police, when they're in the cruiser, when they're sitting 2 in the cruiser, they're not 6 feet away. And when the cops came to the door, they were both on my doorstep. So that's not 6 feet. It's hard. It's hard to comply sometimes because it's just a little bit absurd. It really is.
Is $880 no big deal for you, or is it a bit of a big deal, especially during these hard times?
Yeah, well, $880 feeds me, my wife, and my son for almost 2 months. So to fork up an extra $880, that's a lot of money, man. It really is a lot of money, especially for, I hear that the Dow is going down, the economy doesn't look good right now either with everything that's happening. It looks like there's inflation coming. And so I believe it's going to be hard for us. They're telling us to work at home. There's been reports of close to 1 million people have been laid off, I think. So, it's hard. I know that we're going to see a lot more people being tagged for $880. There's a lot of people that are going to stand up and going to say no. And so I strongly feel like there's more to come.
Andre, we feel that you've been hard done by. First of all, the fine is outrageously high for the so-called crime that was committed. And the way in which the fine originated, it was basically via a snitch line. And we don't think it's right. So what we've done, we're crowdfunding. We have a fantastic top Toronto criminal lawyer, a veteran, a bencher at the Law Society of Upper Canada, Sam Goldstein. Sam is going to take your case. You and your family won't have to worry about a single nickel of legal fees. We're going to fight this. We're going to, when things return to normal and the courts are back to normal, we're going to see if we can, get a little justice done here.
I really appreciate you guys, and thank you, David, for coming over, and it was a pleasure having you in my home.
Well, folks, as promised, we're taking your crowdfunding fees, and we are going to go to bat for Mr. Rose in Cornwall. And right now, I am joined by Toronto veteran criminal lawyer Sam Goldstein. Sam, thank you so much for joining me, and thank you again for taking up the cause of Andre Rose. And I guess the first question is, Sam, what was it that attracted you to this case in the first place?
Well, as a criminal lawyer, David, always my first concern is making sure that people's rights are defended. And secondly, specifically with respect to this case, was that my concern is during this pandemic that the authorities are overreaching the powers that have been given to them underneath the Emergency Acts.
And you know, I think that's a very important point that you make, Sam, that even in a state of an emergency, even when a government is operating under an Emergency Services Act, a War Measures Act, it is still beholden to the Constitution. It still has to act in a reasonable way, does it not?
Absolutely. The Charter is still supreme law in this country. And as I said in an interview with Ezra the other day, all the different legislations for the different jurisdictions all have to conform with the Charter in one way or the other. And I think also we realize that some of the limitations that have been imposed on us are acceptable. But at the same time, as you said earlier, we have to be vigilant about our civil liberties to make sure that they still are around. And so we have to fight back a little bit. And I think what Andre is doing in this case is he's fighting back. And rightly so. But the provincial legislation is being used, and so it's never been challenged before. So going forward, we'll have some case law that will flesh out what the powers of the state are, and that's also, to go back to an earlier question. I think what also attracts me to this case is because, as we sometimes like to say in Latin, this is legal terra nova. It's legal. It's new land for the law. And it's important to make sure that whatever grows out of this new legal land is proper and reasonable.
Now, tell me, when it gets back to Mr. Rose's case, once this gets to court, assuming it does go to court, and without being too revealing, Sam, what's going to be the game plan in terms of your strategy?
Well, I think the game plan is it's the same as any other case which I work on. You get the disclosure from the Crown, and you see if the Crown can prove its case. You don't always have to look for these charter issues and special legal issues. I think good lawyers always just simply start with the nuts and bolts of the case, and they see if the Crown can prove it, and you go from there.
Well, you know what, folks? He's much too modest to say so himself, but I can tell you, Sam Goldstein is a top-notch criminal lawyer. As a matter of fact, he's a bencher at the Law Society of Upper Canada. But you know, we need you to help us fight this fight. Yes, Andre's the victim here. Sam is the top-notch hired gun. And this is where you come in as our viewers. We need your donations to help pay Sam's fees in order to defend Andre. And what's more, if you know someone as well that might have a similar case that might also need our help, please let us know about it. If you can go to fightthefines.com, that's fightthefines.com. We're going to pick up these cases. Even in these crazy times of COVID-19, we are not going to allow our civil liberties to be eroded. In fact, I think Rebel News is going to become kind of like a civil rights association in terms of those people that are unfairly having their rights tread upon. So once again, folks, if you can, please give us a tip to any egregious actions you see, and make a donation by visiting fightthefines.com. That's fightthefines.com. And thank you yet again for your support.
If you'd like us to consider going to bat for you in a court of law, please go to fightthefines.com. That's fightthefines.com. And if you don't have a tale of a personal egregious incident, well, you can help us fund these legal fees. Again, go to fightthefines.com. That's fightthefines.com. Make a donation. And once again, as always, we appreciate your undying support.